Chapter 30 is talking about the globalization and the wealth of America. And although the window's dressing sometimes differs, the opposition to globalization is based on essentially the same factors as the opposition to domestic competition that we saw in Chapter 19. Most commentators hate competition. If competitors could be excluded, profits are sure to rise. In the international area, foreign competitors are often excluded by tariffs, which means separate taxes on imports, and quotas, which means limits on the amount of foreign goods that may be imported lawfully, or by regulations that raise the cost of foreign firms relative to domestic firms. In each case, the result is decrease in the supply of the goods from foreign sources. Uh, Domestic firms thereby enjoy both a higher price for their products and a larger market share. Consumers lose, however, suffering not only from higher prices but also from fewer alternative sources of supply from which to choose. And let's see a simple example of the process of excluding foreign competitors, in which a tariff is imposed on imports. There are two sources of potential supply: domestic firms with supply curve SD, and foreign firms with supply curve SF. Absent government intervention, the market supply curve would be ST, which is a horizontal summation of SD and SF. Market price and quantity would thus be P and QT in the domestic market. And suppose the domestic firms convince the government to impose a per-unit tariff on imports, causing the foreign supply curve to shift up vertically by the amount of the per-unit tariff to SF star. The result in a new market supply to ST star. This causes the domestic price to rise to P star, making domestic consumers worse off, and reduces the total amount of the good consumed domestically to QT star. The rise in price is far less than the higher costs suffered by the foreign firms, so they too are made worse off. The big winners are the domestic firms, for they enjoy higher prices and great market share, both contributing to higher profits for them. Uh, 2 points are worth emphasizing. First, the greater the tariff that the government imposed, the greater are the benefits to the domestic firms and the greater are the losses to both the foreign firms and to domestic consumers. Second, for a tariff to any given size, the greater the initial importance of imports in supplying domestic consumers, the greater are the benefits to the domestic industry and the greater the losses to domestic consumers. And finally, although a tariff definitely reduces the world welfare because it reduces the extent of mutually beneficial exchange, it may actually yield net benefits to the citizens of the nation that imposes it. This can occur if the domestic economy is large enough relative to the world market that the domestic tariff affects world prices, and in this case, the domestic government can use an import tariff to redistribute wealth from foreigners to domestic citizens. And although this result may sound strange, it's simply an application of monopoly theory. In fact, by imposing the tariff, the domestic governments forces down the world price of the import. Because of the lower world price, when the value of tariffs proceeds is taken into account, the gains to the domestic suppliers may exceed the losses to domestic consumers. Whether any government actually levies tariff with such consummate skill remains an unanswered question. Thanks.